You've been living under an illusion. From childhood, they trained you to believe discipline was simple. They told you it was about willpower, about trying harder, about small tricks like waking up early and scribbling down goals, as if decorating the walls could fix a crumbling foundation. But the truth is darker. Discipline isn't a checklist. It isn't a mood. It is a battlefield. And that battlefield is your own mind. Either you seize command like a sovereign taking control of his army, or you'll be slaughtered by the very weaknesses you refuse to confront. Look around. Most men are collapsing from within. Their lives resemble abandoned fortresses, their gates smashed open by every passing urge. Temptation walks in like an enemy general, and they surrender without a fight. And yet they still wonder why they feel powerless, why freedom always slips through their fingers. They don't understand. Without strategy, without order, there is no strength. A man who cannot impose rule upon himself will always be ruled, by impulse, by distraction, by the chaos he never learned to master. Machiavelli saw this centuries ago. While others preached comfort and optimism, he stripped human nature bare with merciless clarity. The world, he knew, does not reward the naive or the well-meaning. It rewards those who can hold their ground when everything collapses. It rewards the few who maintain command when disorder surrounds them. To him, discipline was never a virtue to brag about, it was a law of survival. The prince and the peasant, without it, share the same fate: destruction. And here's the cruelty no one tells you. The throne of your life will never remain empty. If you do not occupy it with unshakable authority, some other force will. Some craving, some fear, some distraction will sit where you should have sat. And once you hand over that seat, your destiny is no longer yours. If you believe discipline is about effort only when it's convenient, you're already defeated. If you think desire alone will hold the line, you've misunderstood the game. This message isn't for the comfortable. It's for those ready to embrace the burden of mastery, to hammer themselves into something unbreakable. Real discipline is vigilance, strategy, relentless command over the self. It is the construction of an inner citadel where chaos finds no entry and fortune holds no sway. In this video, you'll learn why Machiavelli treated discipline not as a choice, but as a secret law of power. And if you dare to live by it, you will walk away from this moment unrecognizable to the person you were before. So stay tuned. Machiavelli never wasted ink comforting the weak. His words were forged as weapons, aimed only at those with the courage to wield them. If you wish to understand discipline through his eyes, you must abandon the childish fantasies of motivation and positive thinking. He was not training dreamers, he was shaping commanders. To Machiavelli, discipline was not a mood. It was not a feeling that visits you in the morning and abandons you by nightfall. Discipline was the skeleton of power itself, the rigid structure that keeps everything upright. Strip a man of discipline, and you strip him of strategy, of survival. No matter how gifted, he becomes easy prey for the forces waiting to consume him. He wrote in The Prince that the order of militias is what sustains the order of states. The principle is brutal and undeniable. Without discipline, no army stands, no city lasts, no ruler endures. External strength is always a reflection of internal command. A fortress governed by chaos will collapse before the first stone is even struck. What terrified Machiavelli's contemporaries, and still unsettles us today, is how he framed discipline, not as something noble to practice when convenient, but as armor that must never be removed. A prince who cannot master his impulses is more dangerous to himself than any enemy outside his gates. His downfall will not arrive from invaders. It will seep from the cracks he refused to repair, acting out of rage, reacting out of fear, lunging forward without calculation. Each is a death sentence. Discipline, then, is not a seasonal virtue. It must be cultivated like the daily fortification of walls, brick upon brick, against the corrosion that is always trying to eat through. Machiavelli saw man as a creature forever stalked by his own pride, his vanity, his desires. Without vigilance, these forces rot him from within. With vigilance, he becomes untouchable. This was not a lesson only for kings. It is the law for anyone who intends to rule their own destiny. Fail to govern your mind, and something else will govern it for you. Circumstance will, emotion will, temptation will, and once that happens, you are already conquered. In Machiavelli's world, the man who cannot command himself is already politically dead, though his body still moves. Understand this: your spirit is a battlefield. And on this battlefield, discipline is the last line between victory and ruin. In the next part, we march further into this war, and I'll show you how a true commander fights it. But if this message is striking you right now, then strike back. Hit that subscribe, hit that like, and stand with me. Your support fuels this mission. Picture a battlefield. Thousands of men standing in formation, but with no training, no order, no commander they respect. What happens the moment chaos erupts? They scatter, they scream, they die. Not because they lacked courage, but because courage without discipline is suicide. Machiavelli saw this truth with ruthless clarity. He warned that mercenary armies collapsed for this very reason. No structure, no obedience, no discipline. And what is an undisciplined army if not a mirror of an undisciplined mind? Think about it. You set resolutions. You swear to yourself you'll change. You make bold promises in the silence of your room. But when fatigue presses down, when temptation whispers, when fear raises its voice, your mind deserts you. Just like cowardly soldiers, your thoughts scatter. Your impulses mutiny. And you, the so-called general of your own life, are betrayed from within. Machiavelli wrote that even a small force, if disciplined, could crush an enemy 10 times its size. The same law rules your inner world. A handful of disciplined thoughts, drilled like soldiers, will carry you further than 1,000 wild dreams running in every direction. Power is not in the crowd of ideas, but in the iron command you hold over them. So answer me honestly, how many times have you failed? Not because you weren't talented, but because you lacked control? How many times did you abandon your own mission? Not because you couldn't win, but because you let exhaustion, fear, or doubt seize command. This is why Machiavelli insisted, discipline is survival. Without it, a general is doomed, and so is a man. Without discipline, you don't even lose the war, you surrender before it begins. True discipline is not a mood. It's not about waiting for motivation. It is waking every day under strict orders. It is following your strategy, not your feelings. It is advancing even when your body aches and your spirit resists, because victory bows only to those who do not retreat. The modern world worships emotions and laughs at discipline. And that is why the majority live as casualties, blaming everyone but themselves. But you, if you would master your life, must become the general of your own army. Cold, relentless, unyielding. Drill your mind the way a ruthless commander drills his army, with no softness, no excuses, no hesitation. Because in the war zone of life, indiscipline isn't just weakness. It's a slow, certain execution. And here lies the real clash Machiavelli laid bare. Virtù versus fortuna. Skill against luck. Discipline against chaos. The power to shape destiny against the flood of blind fortune. Understand this. Luck is not your ally. It is not fair, it is not moral, it is not waiting to reward your effort. Fortune is a wild, raging force, like a river that swells, breaks its banks, and devours everything in its path. Trees uprooted, houses crushed, whole cities swallowed. That is what chance does to the unprepared. But Machiavelli was not hopeless. He warned, Rivers may rage, but wise men build levees before the storm. They prepare their defenses in times of calm. They construct barriers so that when chaos strikes, they stand while others are swept away. This is where virtue emerges. Do not confuse it with virtue. Virtue is not morality. It is power. It is the inner steel that allows a man to bend circumstances rather than be bent by them. It is discipline turned into weaponry, resilience, intelligence, adaptability, command. Virtue is standing when the ground itself trembles. It is creating opportunity where others only cry misfortune. It is refusing the coward's comfort of blaming bad luck. Here's the brutal truth. Men who lean on luck are already defeated. Great men do not pray for luck. They trap it. They twist it. They force it into service. They build their dikes long before the storm arrives. They sharpen their discipline before the battlefield demands strength. They are awake and armored while others still sleep, whispering lullabies of everything will work out. No, it will not. Not unless you command it. Strip away the illusions and look at your life without mercy. How many years have you wasted waiting for the right time? How many excuses have you built to cover your inaction? When the moment comes, I'll move. When things align, I'll start. That lie is the poison of weak men. Fortune is chaos. Unpredictable, violent, blind. But chaos is not unconquerable. Those who kneel to it perish. Those who forge virtue bend it to their command. And here is the divide. You either become the architect of your own destiny, or you remain a pawn thrown around by chance. But let's face it, modern culture has corrupted the very idea of discipline. It has turned it into a gimmick, something sold in self-help books and packaged in pastel-colored apps. They tell you discipline is nothing more than habit trackers, motivational slogans, dopamine hacks. As if the oldest war in history, the war against yourself, could be won with a to-do list. What a farce. Machiavelli would sneer at such weakness. He knew the truth. Discipline is not comfort. Discipline is pain. Discipline is the conscious declaration of war against the coward inside you. You fail not because you lack potential, but because you were trained to chase shortcuts. You were deceived into thinking that if you stack enough positive habits, your life will magically align. But true discipline is not born from comfort. It is born from confrontation. It does not wait for inspiration. It acts while your body begs for rest. It marches forward while your mind pleads for compromise. The wise prepare before the storm. The strong build their walls in silence, long before the enemy appears. Real discipline is forged in the invisible hours, on the dull, monotonous days, in the unseen moments where no applause is given. That is where power is born. And yet, modern weakness teaches you to romanticize failure, to console yourself endlessly, to hand out trophies for tiny acts of effort. You've been drugged with indulgence. You've been softened by self-compassion, while your own potential decays inside of you. Understand this: modern discipline is emotional. It rises and falls with your mood. But Machiavellian discipline is structural. It ignores how you feel. It despises motivation. It is a fortress of stone, indifferent to weather, indifferent to comfort. Those who wait for motivation, who wait for the stars to align, live like cattle, obedient, passive, waiting for the slaughter. If you want discipline that forges empires, you must embrace what others run from. Comfort will betray you. Ease will soften you. Only pain, endured and mastered, forges steel. Your mind must become a training ground. Weaknesses are not tolerated there. They are hunted down and executed. Most men read about discipline. Few actually build it. Why? Because they never go beyond theory. They confuse talk with transformation. But words are nothing without the brutality of practice. Machiavelli's law is simple. Prepare before the storm, or the storm will bury you. The wise prince builds defenses in times of peace. You must do the same with your own mind. If you wait until the chaos arrives, you have already surrendered. Victory or defeat is sealed before the world even notices you are in the fight. It is sealed in the silent hours of the morning, when no one is watching, when no one will applaud. So here is the method. Step 1. Relentless vigilance. Every day you must inspect yourself as a general inspects his troops. Where are the cracks? Where is laziness creeping in? What excuses have you allowed to live? A single compromise is not harmless. It is a breach in the wall. A delayed task is not small. It is a siege weapon pointed at your gates. If you do not crush weakness while it is small, it will topple your entire fortress. Step 2. Ruthless routine. Your brain, left unchecked, will always crawl toward the easy path. It will betray you in the name of comfort. That is why hesitation must be eliminated. Rigid routines are not cages. They are weapons. They free you from endless negotiation with your own cowardice. You wake up, you act. No debate, no bargaining. Fixed hours, fixed training, fixed work. You obey as a soldier obeys orders on the battlefield. Because if you leave decisions to how you feel, you have already lost. Fatigue will conquer you, fear will command you, and the battle will be over before it even begins. This is discipline, cold, unforgiving, non-negotiable, the only kind that wins wars. Step 3. Ruthless consequences. In the real world, failure carries a price. On the battlefield, hesitation is not a lesson learned. It's blood. It's death. If you want unbreakable discipline, you must impose the same law on yourself. Every broken routine, every missed command must trigger punishment. Immediate, tangible, painful. Don't let failure slip by unnoticed. Stamp it into your nervous system as something never to be repeated. Practical example. Establish a public commitment. If you fail to follow your routine, you must donate money to a cause you despise. You must tell your friends that you failed. You must carry the weight of shame and loss. And more importantly, you must understand that discipline is not just about rewards, but mainly about avoiding ruin. A soldier doesn't run in the rain because he feels like it. He runs because there is command. Because he knows that disobedience carries punishment, disgrace, expulsion. Your mind must be trained the same way. It obeys because obedience is survival, not because it is easy, not because it is fun. True discipline is chaining yourself before life shackles you. It is making hardness your ritual, not your exception. It is rising every day with the indifference of a commander and marching forward, no matter how you feel. But now comes the question that matters. If the truth is this clear, why do most still sabotage themselves? Why do they hear the call, nod their heads, and yet crawl back to weakness? Because the deadliest enemy is not outside. It is the silent traitor within. That is what we will expose in the next part. The hidden war you are fighting against yourself, and how to destroy it before it destroys you. And let me tell you this, knowledge without action is cowardice. Most will feel the sting of these words, but they will go back to their excuses, their comfort, their chains. But a few will choose differently. They will refuse to remain slaves to impulse. They will rise, cold and unflinching, and seize the throne of their own lives. That choice to govern rather than be governed is what divides ordinary men from commanders of destiny. Machiavelli warned that a state without discipline is a kingdom already collapsing. The same law applies to you. A man without discipline is not free. He is already conquered. Your mind is your territory, your habits, your troops. Every decision a strategy of war. You either sit on the throne or you rot in the dungeon. There is no neutral ground. There never was. Maybe you think you can delay, that tomorrow will be safer, that next week will be easier, that when life calms down, then you'll start. That lie has killed more men than defeat ever did. The prince who waits for the perfect moment never rules. He is swept away by the first storm. The time is not later. The time is not when you feel ready. The time is now, while you still have strength, while the walls of your fortress can still be raised. Discipline yourself, not for applause, not for vanity, not for comfort. Discipline yourself because without it, you are nothing but prey. Because freedom demands it. Because greatness requires it. Now carve this choice into reality. In the comments, write, "From today, I choose to rule myself. Not for me, for you." A written act of sovereignty, the first conscious strike in your new campaign. Remember this, the first victory is not over the world. The first victory is over yourself. And don't forget, like this video, share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Every strike you take here sharpens your mind for the war ahead.